Deuteronomy 19:2-21, through the Bible. Chapter 19. Theme: Cities of Refuge, extent of the land and the extremity of the law. The provision of cities of refuge, the protection of property rights, and the severity of the law, reveal again God's concern for the innocent person. Cities of refuge. In the book of Numbers, chapter 35, we learn that the Levites were to set up 3 such cities, on the east side of Jordan, and 3 on the west side of Jordan. Thou shalt separate 3 cities for thee, in the midst of thy land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, to possess it. Thou shalt prepare thee a way, and divide the coasts of thy land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee to inherit, into 3 parts, that every slayer may flee thither. Deuteronomy 19:4. And this is the case of the slayer, which shall flee thither, that he may live, whoso killeth his neighbor ignorantly, whom he hated not in time past. Deuteronomy 19:2-4. A man who had unwittingly killed a person, could flee to a city of refuge. This would save him from mob action, or from the action of some hot-headed relative, who might be emotionally wrought up at the time. In a city of refuge he would be protected until a fair trial could be held. God makes it perfectly clear that the cities of refuge were to be protection for the innocent man. He gives an example of what he means by an accidental killing. As when a man goeth into the wood with his neighbor, to hew wood, and his hand fetcheth a stroke with the axe, to cut down the tree, and the head slippeth from the helve, and lighteth upon his neighbor, that he die, he shall flee unto one of those cities, and live, lest the avenger of the blood pursue the slayer, while his heart is hot, and overtake him, because the way is long, and slay him, whereas he was not worthy of death, inasmuch as he hated him, not in time past. Deuteronomy 19:5-6. The Lord is specific that the cities of refuge are not to be protection for those guilty of murder. But if any man hate his neighbor, and lie in wait for him, and rise up against him, and smite him mortally that he die, and fleeth into one of these cities, then the elders of his city shall send, and fetch him thence, and deliver him into the hand of the avenger of blood, that he may die. Deuteronomy 19:11-12. Protection of property. Thou shalt not remove thy neighbor's landmark, which they of old time have set in thine inheritance, which thou shalt inherit in the land, that the Lord thy God giveth thee to possess it. Deuteronomy 19:14. Here is the fact that landmarks were sacred. This was a protection of human property, and establishes the rights to property. One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity, or for any sin, in any sin that he sinneth. At the mouth of 2 witnesses, or at the mouth of 3 witnesses, shall the matter be established. Deuteronomy 19:15. This passage reveals to us the awesomeness of the law. The demands of the law were terrible, and under no circumstances was one witness sufficient. Anyone today who says that he wants to live under law should really find out what it is. If a false witness should arise, then the accused and the accuser were to stand before the Lord, represented by the priests and the judges. If the judges decided that the witness was false, then whatever he wanted to have done to the accused was the punishment which should be given to him. In that way, evil was to be removed from the nation. Verses 16-20. And thine eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. Deuteronomy 19:21. That is law, friends. There is no mercy in law. I thank God today that the Lord is not judging me on the basis of law. He saves me by grace. If he were saving me by law, I would be lost forever, because I could never measure up to the requirements of the law. Law is law. We have developed such a careless attitude about it today, but God enforces his law. It was eye for eye, tooth for tooth. How I thank God that Jesus Christ paid the penalty of the law, so that there is pardon for sinners. The throne of God has become a mercy seat, because Christ died, and his blood has been sprinkled there, and that's the blood of the covenant. God saves us by his grace. We have not kept the law, we have broken it. We are all guilty before God. Christ paid the penalty, so the requirements of the law have been fulfilled. Now God is free to save sinners, by his marvelous, infinite, wonderful grace.